Oh, it's back. The unnamed Rams show on a Friday night for episode 2. Payout time with the Rams radar. Rams house in the house. Rams house. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I can't wait to do this show with you again. After we finished it last week, I couldn't help but think about all the things that we could do this week. Can't
Right?
wait to interact with all of you guys tonight. Thank you for all who are stopping in, and it's going to be a great show.
Absolutely. And we'll get into the Rams Eagles preview right away, but I do want to say thank you to everyone who put in a name suggestion for our show.
Yeah.
We've been texting back and forth all week. Like we have a lot of great high quality name suggestions. We will name this show eventually. We're just not there yet. And if you have a name suggestion, feel free to put it in the comments, and we would love to hear from you as this show continues to develop. But let's just Rams house. Do you want to maybe before we get into the preview, do you want to just say what was your favorite moment from like Rams media this past week?
Honestly, I kind of feel bad for saying this, but it was really funny hearing McVay talk about his own injury
Yeah.
that he had. I never thought I'd hear about a coach injury happening.
Yeah.
And it gave me vibes of like 2022 when that player ran into him, like his helmet ran into him. And so that was kind of funny to me just because it's like you never would think that you'd hear your own coach talking about an injury that he has that doesn't really have a bearing on the game. But that was probably like my favorite comedic moment. What about you?
Yeah. Especially when he's like, yeah, like I might have a cool limp on the sideline.
Yeah. That was funny.
Oh no, that's peak Rams off the field content right there. I think there's been some fun. It's been a fun week for Rams media. I think my favorite one is the press conference yesterday when Jared Verse was teaching reporters how to trash talk.
That was hilarious.
And when he like, especially because he said it so like exquisitely, where he's like talking about how like, oh, like you don't insult like their family or anything of that, but like,
for getting advice on trash talk, I think Jared Verse is the right person to talk to. Like,
yeah,
easily the loudest Ram on this
absolutely.
entire Rams team. But it's funny because like, imagine the media banter between like colleagues and like beat writers if they had that trash talk. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, no, those were definitely some highlights from this week. Speaking of highlights, just a couple of shout outs here. We got Sinjin in the house. Desmond's watching over at Rams house. We got Blue Lock here. All these cool people. Mudip is here. Captain
What a profile picture.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Love that. Captain Chaos is here. We got Christopher. All these cool people hanging out. We appreciate you all hanging out with us. We're going to talk Rams Eagles first. Then Rams House is going to lead the next segment of Over Rams Action. And then I will finish off with a What's More Likely, but it's just the Rams. So we're going to have some fun times. Rams House, what are your thoughts going into this Rams-Eagles matchup?
Yeah, for me, it's the excitement continues to build every day. And when you go back and watch those highlights from that playoff game that we had, you realize how close we really were to making a run there. Obviously, the Rams didn't have a good record against the Eagles last year. We went 0-2 against them. And I think it's been 9 out of the last 10 games the Rams have lost to the Eagles. And so I'm excited just to see how this team in particular and this makeup of the roster matches up against the Eagles, because a lot of the roster decisions that we made in the offseason actually stem directly from how we matched up against the Eagles.
Yep.
And to see how much better we look, we have seen really good Rams football the first 2 weeks of the season, but we haven't had a true test like the Eagles yet. And that's what really excites me.
Yeah. And I'm to tell you what I'm honestly most excited about is getting rid of this over talked about talking point of, the Rams gave the Eagles the best game in the playoffs last year. Where like, and it's funny because I feel like if it was maybe this week or last week, Mike Florio was like, we don't talk about the Rams we don't talk about it enough. The Rams were the team that gave the Eagles the best fight in the playoff. Like, and I'm like, have you been a Rams fan since last like January? It's like every single week I've heard that at least 2 times from someone in the media. And I'll admit I'm part of the problem. I've said it myself, but I'm over it. I'm done with that talking point. That playoff game happened. It's in the past. I am hoping that the Rams can, end that talking point when rewrite the narrative on Sunday. But yes, that is what I'm most looking forward to about this game. That being said, if you look back, the Rams and Eagles history, the Rams have not beaten the Eagles in a long time.
Yeah.
And they haven't beat them very often either. And so I would, I was hearing Sheriff Joe and Tuna on their show talk about how, like, the Rams kind of do. And yeah, I love to know your thoughts. How realistic is it for the Rams to go into Philly on Sunday and get a win, in your opinion?
In my opinion, and a lot of people would think that this is just like the Rams fan in me coming out, I honestly think it's very realistic that it happens. Just being that even if you just look at that playoff game that we had and how close we really were, you have to take into account a California team was playing in a blizzard on the road in one of the toughest environments, and you still saw them fighting. And if you didn't give up those 2 explosive runs, like, we were right in that game. And even when we did give that up, we still almost took this one away. And if you look at the Eagles this year, a lot of the talk is that they aren't in their top form yet, which most teams aren't in the NFL, to be fair. But the Eagles aren't in their prime, like, rolling every team kind of phase that they were last year when we played them.
Yeah.
And so that, on top of the Rams roster getting better, in my opinion, and the additions that we made on top of the Eagles, you could argue getting a little bit worse, especially on the defensive side. I think it's very realistic that they go into Philly and win this game, especially when you go back to some of those conversations that the Rams have had, when the schedule released and they had their, like, media run with all these different people. All of the players kept saying that this game was circled for them, and it was one of the games that, like, they had their eyes on early. And being that we've already had that on that, there's that whole revenge kind of narrative to it. But on top of that, this is a barometer game for the Rams. And this is a game to show, like, okay, you guys have beaten 2 teams, you're 2-0, but this is a big test. This is a Super Bowl champion. So adding all that together, I think that the Rams have a very good shot at beating the Eagles. It's going to be tough, but I think they have a good shot.
Yeah. And I think it's important to remember this is going to be a completely different game than that playoff game. It's going to be a different game than, the regular season game last year. Both these teams have seen turnover. They've had players that have, gotten better. They've changed some coaching, alignment, not so much with the Rams, but with the Eagles. And I don't know. I really like the Rams' chances. I think that when I hear some other Eagles content creators and they talk about this game, they're giving the Rams respect. Like, I'm hearing a lot of Eagles fans be like, yeah, like, if we were going to lose early in the year, this is the game that it would happen. I think that there's kind of this narrative that, if the Rams come in and they stop Saquon, then they're going to win. And I think they have done enough to at least slow him down, right? With Poona Ford, with Landman, a lot of your younger players kind of stepping up in their development. And going back to that Eagles loss, I have no doubt that Chris Shula on defense has watched that probably more than anybody. And I could see it happening where the Rams go into Philly and they, kind of punch him in the mouth and get a win, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a good point that you made there. And I just think that Chris Shula even said it in his press conference this week when they talked about, like, how do you stop a Saquon Barkley with how good he is? And, like, what do you have to do? And he brought up how in that game, even when they let up those 2 huge runs, he said most of the game we were playing them well. And most of the games we had, like, good gap integrity and we were shutting down the lanes for Saquon to be able to take those ones. But all it takes for a running back like him is, like, one play where you're out of your gap or out of alignment and he's gone. And that's the thing. It's like I think a lot of people think that the Rams just don't play him well and they don't have a good game plan. It's like, no, you can play him well, but if you mess up just in one spot against a really good player like he is, he's going to make you pay, and we saw that. And so we're just hoping with the personnel that we have now, and like now 2 full games of experience playing against him and the Eagles, hoping that that's going to translate into not having that one mistake that costs you. And I think that's a really good point that Chris Shula was making, because they were playing it pretty well the whole game. It was just those 2 ones that they were kind of out of their alignment.
Definitely. Well, let's hear what some of our viewers have to say in the chat about this Rams-Eagles matchup here, and we'll react to your comments. So if you have an opinion or a hot take or anything, we want to hear about it. Do you think that the Rams are going to win? Do you think the Rams are going to lose? Let us know. And we got I Like Dogs. We got Rams Mob in here. Good to see you guys all. John's here. There's not a better chance than any to get the Eagles. I'm not sure what you mean by that, John, but hey, cool. Hey, Willie Bowen in here. Let's see. We only need to beat the Eagles in January, like the Niners. Okay, that's fair. That's a fair take, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rams, we need Fisk out there. Hopefully he can go. Yeah. Have you checked the injury report today? I have not seen it yet.
I didn't check the injury report, but I did see something in particular for Fisk. They said that he was doing like sprints and trying to do like jog through kind of stuff. Yeah. And that in the middle of the practice, he like took off his gear and went to the locker room. So it doesn't sound great based on the fact like he can finish out the practice, but maybe in a couple days he'll get better. I don't expect him to play though.
Okay, I am just going to bring up the injury report right here and show our viewers. Yeah, note to self, look at this before we go live. So if we look here, so it looks like, Steve Avila is doubtful. Braden Fisk is questionable. So yeah, you're right. He limited practice today. We weren't worried about Adams and Haven Stance. They're just veteran rest days. Kobe Parkinson is questionable. And then, Jackson's just resting. Over on the Eagles side of it, they have Will Shipley. He's going to be out. Jalen Carter, we weren't worried about him missing time. Dallas Goedert looks like he'll be good to go. That's their backup quarterback, Tanner McKee, and then Byron Young, defensive tackle. He'll be back. So it looks like the Eagles are going to win this injury report. The Rams have won the injury report the first 2 weeks, but this is a week that their depth is definitely going to be tested this week out of any week. That's for sure.
I find it interesting too, because when you go back to the playoff game that we had against the Eagles, Fisk ended up getting hurt. I think it was in the first quarter. It was pretty early on there. And I'm going to be interested to see. In my mind, I don't think that Fisk is going to play this game just based on what we heard from, or like at max, he'll be at a limited play time, but I don't really expect him to play. And so I'm interested to see how that affects the game plan, especially because a couple of Rams players and coaches, like as the offseason progressed, did bring up the fact that Fisk was hurt and that kind of affected things. They weren't using it as an excuse, but just bringing up, a legitimate reason. But I think if Fisk is going to miss this game, they'll at least know that ahead of time and know a game plan to use ahead of time rather than trying to adjust on the fly in the middle of the game.
Yep. Don't totally agree. I see this next comment here from Willie that yes, the Rams totally beat the Eagles in 2021. And if we kind of just look at it here, 2025 and 2024 L, and then 2023. And so the Rams beat them. Sorry, it was September 2020. They beat them 37-19. And then 2018. So the Rams have not beaten the Eagles a lot. That's for sure. But hopefully, we can change that narrative.
The interesting storyline too, when you hear about it, it kind of sounds weird, but Sean McVay has never beaten Nick Sirianni.
Oh,
he's 0-3 against him, which I would have never guessed. But I don't think that's going to play into account to make the Rams lose this game. It's just interesting to hear because you would think at least one time Sean McVay has gotten the best of him. But what would you say for the offensive side of the ball is going to be the biggest key to victory for the Rams?
I think Kyron Williams and Blake Corum in the run game.
Hmm.
I really think if the Rams can have a balanced approach to their offense, especially in the red zone, I think that is the best way to beat this Eagles defense. This Eagles team, they will suffocate a team. Right? We've seen that before.
Yeah.
That's their game. The best way to beat them, and even like, I'll be so bold. The best way to beat the Tush Push is make the Eagles play from behind, right?
Yes.
They often, and they're really good at it, getting a lead and then suffocating, playing really, a exhausting type of, football. But if you make them throw it, make them, take those deep shots, and they now they have two good wide receivers that can definitely help you out, and they can win those games. But I absolutely think that the best way to beat the Eagles is try and go into the fourth quarter with a lead, right?
Yeah, I agree. And the kind of game that the Eagles want to play is what you mentioned. It's draining the clock. It's running the football. It's like they're going to take their shots, especially like when they're in their top form. Their whole game plan and goal for it is to run the football, drain clock. As soon as defenses like come up to try to stop the run and like fill up the box, that's when they're going to take their shots to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, where they can have those explosives. But on paper, just in general, black and white, the Eagles want to drain the clock. They want to run the football and they want to exhaust you. It kind of reminds me of those 49ers teams that we played when the Rams were just getting swept by them every year. Yep. It's like they had a good passing game, but their whole thing was time of possession. It would be like they'd have 40 minutes of it and the Rams would only have 20. Yep. And it was too exhausting. It wears on you as the game goes on. Yep. So I'd expect the Eagles to have definitely like one or two of those drives or a few of those drives in this game where it's like, man, we just can't get them off the field. But as long as that's not the story of the game, of them just possessing the ball the whole time and exhausting us, I think that we have a good chance at winning this game. And so, yeah, definitely making them play that kind of game that they don't want to play, making them pass the ball, make them play from behind. And that's kind of what I talked about in my preview this week about the Rams offense. For my key in this game, obviously balance is a big thing in running the football to be able to take off some of the pass rush heat, especially missing Avila. But for me, it's like, don't play scared. Play aggressive on offense. You can run the ball and do all of that, but don't be afraid to take the shots. Don't be afraid to stick to the identity that the Rams are just because you're playing a good defense and just because you're playing a Super Bowl defense. I think if the Rams stick to that balanced attack, but being willing to use their weapons that they have, because let's be honest, they've used Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. They've looked great, but they have a lot of other weapons that they haven't really tapped into yet. Even a guy like Tutu Atwell, who we brought back on a 10-year deal or a $10 million deal, 1-year deal. He hasn't really seen the field, but he's a good weapon. You haven't seen Terrence Ferguson at all. Whittington's been used, but not to the amount that he could be used. So, like, you have all this kind of personnel. You have a mastermind at head coach. So, obviously, be balanced, take off some of that pass rush, but be willing to take your shots and be aggressive.
I had the thought, I'm glad you brought up Terrence Ferguson. Do you think there's a chance the Rams have just been hiding them for this game?
It's hard to tell. I've heard that theory before, but I'm honestly not 100% sure. I feel like for me, from my perspective of it, the time that he missed in training camp with, I don't know if it was a hamstring or it was a similar injury to that, but I think that may have been enough to put Davis Allen ahead of him.
Yeah.
And have Tyler Higbee obviously be the lead guy. So they could be saving him, but for me, I think it's like, if you have a good weapon, why not use him? Like, why save him? That's kind of where I'm coming from.
And I'll be honest, like, I've had the same thought about Kyron. I'm like, you know what? I feel like they haven't unleashed Kyron yet. And like, Kyron looks good. Like, Kyron, you can tell he has had a good offseason. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the full playbook for the Rams run game has not yet been unleashed. And, it is a retooled offense, right? And I could see this being one of those games that McVay's like, you know what? We're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at him. And I've been saving it. And Terrence Ferguson might be one of those, utility, that he's just been saving for this game.
Yeah. I want to bring up this comment here made by Andrew. He says, no Higgs for passing in the last 2 games, just been seeing him block.
Mm.
That is very interesting. We saw it against the Titans, I believe it was last week. There was one drive where he had like 3 targets and he was moving down there. But to be honest, Tyler Higbee hasn't been used in this offense as much as I thought he would be, because we saw when he got injected back into the offense last year, like there was a noticeable difference, especially in the tight end room. But this year, it feels like, at least so far, we've only seen 2 games. He hasn't been used as much in the passing game. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Tyler Higbee always did have large stretches of games where he didn't get used that much in the passing game, even when he was healthy, right? And then there'd be like one game where he, caught like 2 or 3 touchdowns in the game. So I definitely am surprised. If you would have told me in the offseason that Davis Allen would have 2 touchdowns in like 1 per game in the year, I wouldn't have believed you. Like, no Rams fan was predicting that in July, right?
Shout out to him too.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy for him. Love Davis Allen, and he's developed into a NFL caliber tight end, which has been great. But yeah, definitely the lack of big rig in the passing game has been one of the like more kind of puzzling things of this season for sure. I would say 2 weeks in.
Yeah. Rams Mob also agreed with you. He says, Ferg, the secret weapon, you might be onto something, Peo.
Yeah.
We'll see, because I heard you, and I think Sheriff Joe Bags is another one of the people that talked about Ferguson maybe being saved for this game. I definitely think there's no doubt about it that he can be used more. And there he brings something to that tight end room that the Rams don't have, like the athleticism, the speed. Actually being able to be kind of like a deep threat vertical option as a tight end is something that the Rams don't have. Yep. So I definitely think he can be used more, but like I'm still not sure if it's like they've been saving him all the way till now. But either way, I think he's going to be seeing more snaps every week.
Yeah, definitely. And I picked him up on my fantasy league, and I'll admit he's on my bench.
Yeah,
I'm waiting to start him, but he's there. He'll be ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think as far as like the defensive keys for the Rams? What do you think that's going to be going up against the Eagles this week?
I know a lot of people are going to say it's stopping Saquon, and that's kind of a given. I actually think not letting Jalen Hurts extend the play.
Yes.
And like when Hurts is at his best, it's when he runs it to the outside, and then he has the option of throwing to either, Devontae Smith or AJ Brown or someone else, or he's like, oh, there's a nice open running lane for me right here, and I just got to make one guy miss. Okay. And because if you remember in the playoff game, Jalen Hurts actually scored the first touchdown for the Eagles in that game.
Yeah.
And it was on a big run. I'm actually going into this game more nervous about that than I am, and especially if he can make a throw like Cam Ward did last week. Right?
Yeah. That's a good point that you make there too, because I think us Rams fans can confidently say that their run defense has gotten better this year through the first 2 weeks, especially with Landman being in there. You can see a noticeable improvement. But something that we haven't quite seen yet is them being able to contain the quarterback well, because we saw it with Cam Ward, but we also saw it with CJ Stroud a couple weeks ago. The Rams haven't shown that ability yet to be able to consistently contain a mobile quarterback. And that is going to be a huge key, because not even just going back to the playoff game last year, but going back to the one earlier in the regular season against the Eagles, the Rams had multiple 3rd downs and even a 3rd and 10 at one point that we could have gotten off the field, but Hurts scrambles for 10 yards. And even that Jared Verse play that against Jordan Mailata, where he just completely like sat him down and had that great pass rush, he gave up contain on that, and Hurts ended up getting like a 12-yard run. And so that's definitely, for me, I said it on my video this week as well, that the key isn't about getting a bunch of sacks for Byron Young and Jared Verse. It's going to be about containing Jalen Hurts, because I think the Rams at the end of the day, and us Rams fans want this as well. You want the Eagles to be playing a game that they don't want to play where they're passing the ball, but you don't want them to be doing that game plan where they can scramble and get first downs. You want to make Jalen Hurts have to beat you through the air and have to dice you up that way, because in my opinion, that's not his strength. It's not like he's terrible at it, but I don't look at Jalen Hurts and say he's a top 5 guy in terms of reading the field, finding open guys, and doing all that. So forcing him to do that is definitely going to be really key.
Well, I think even not like Jalen Hurts is so good when he has a clean pocket, or even when the pocket kind of gets shifted to the right.
Yeah,
he it's not that he's necessarily this field general reading the defense and things like that. He's good at making smart decisions with the football, right? And I think if you can, the one thing when you do have a mobile quarterback, if you can make them make ill-advised throws, that is what I think this defense is really good at with the Rams, is forcing quarterbacks into uncomfortable situations where they get picked off, where they have to take an incompletion, where they get sacked. And I think that, especially with the addition of Nate Landman and Puna Ford, that's what this defense is morphing into. A little nervous because we don't have a Killer Weatherspoon anymore. At the corner, I do think that's a big loss. But that being said, I think that the strength of this Rams D-line is still intact, and I think they can, they have an opportunity to prove themselves against a stout Eagles team.
Yeah. Very excited to see how this game goes. It's just every day that goes by, I'm like, oh man, just can't wait to see this Eagles game.
Yeah, and the good news is it's in the early window on Sunday.
Yeah, it's like part of me wants it in prime time because this is such a good matchup.
Yeah,
and primetime games are fun, but another part of me is thankful that this is an early window because you just get to just have the early day start with hopefully a Rams win, a big statement win.
Yeah. And when was the last time the Rams had a back-to-back early window slate of games? I can't remember.
I would guess 2020. That's my guess, but I don't know.
Probably something like that. It's been a while. It's been a while. Yeah. It doesn't happen all the time. Yeah. I see a couple of comments here, and I don't know. Have you heard about it's something called the Tush Push?
That's gibberish. I don't know what the Tush Push is. Could you explain that to me?
Yeah, is it like someone like forces themselves on a gluteus maximus sort of thing? Like
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah. In all seriousness though, we're joking, but the Tush Push has gotten talked about so much. I actually think the Tush Push has been talked about more than the Rams and Eagles game, the actual kind of X's and O's of it this week. And I think I don't have a strong opinion of if it should be banned or not banned or anything like that. Obviously, you want it to be officiated correctly, but my favorite person this week I heard talk about it was Aaron Donald. On the new the Inner Circle podcast, which I just recently discovered. Have you seen it?
I've seen clips of it, but I haven't sat down and been able to listen to it yet. No.
Yeah, so it came out I think on Wednesday this week, and so Donald was asked about the Tush Push, and he in Aaron Donald fashion, he's like, yeah, we've stopped it before, and I know the Rams never got credit for stopping, but they did. It's not an unstoppable play, right? It's the Eagles are very good at it, and obviously you don't want to see them, if they get offside calls or they get, they get away with a false start or something. And I think there is sort of a bit of a tension with Eagles fans and McVay because McVay's on the competition committee. Mike Florio said that he was kind of one of the people that really kind of led the charge to get the play ban. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't think that, I don't think that has to be a storyline in this game about what McVay thinks about the Tush Push. The reality is he knows that the Eagles are going to run it if the situation comes up. Like I said earlier in the show, I think the best way to beat the Tush Push is if you can beat the Eagles on first, second, third down and try and keep them, from getting, 1 yard, so it's third or fourth and short. And if they do it, you have to do your best to go up against it, right? But what are your thoughts on the Tush Push and going into this game, specifically?
Yeah, for me, I think it goes back to what you were talking about of don't even let them get into that situation. which is obviously easier said than done.
Yeah.
And forcing them to have more than a 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 is going to be the biggest key. But I think for me, the tush push is annoying because it's boring is almost a guarantee. Like, would I like it if the Rams are doing it? Probably, because you would feel pretty safe on a 3rd and 1. But the most annoying part to me is what came up last week of them having the false starts and not calling it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily as much of the play in general that I don't like, because like you said, if you can make them not even get in that situation, that play shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
And we have stopped it in the past. To me, it's more so of like, are they actually following the rules when they're doing this play?
Yep. Well, and I've heard it described as like, have you ever played rugby before?
No, I haven't played it, but I've seen it.
Yeah, so like I've played a little bit of rugby in high school, and a rugby scrum is like your two teams of joint kind of arms, and you're pushing up against each other. It is tough when on the offensive side of the ball, they're allowed to like push Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, forward, where you can't have that equal force on the defensive side of the ball just because like within the constructs of the rule. To me, that's the most legitimate reason to either change the rules for the defense or the offense in regards to it. But yeah, I'm hoping that in this game, the tush push is not the major story after this game is all said and done. I have a feeling it's going to be, just because it's the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champ, and it's kind of like their signature, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think that Sheriff Joe Bagsley, and shout out to him, he had a great point this week on his podcast of, obviously, like you talked about, this has become more of a storyline than the Rams game itself. It's been about the Eagles and how illegal it is and all of that. And the refs came out and admitted and like sent to all the teams, I think it was today or yesterday, that there were false starts happening on the tush push, and they admitted it. And I think they're going to do a little bit of course correcting in this game to where we may see an actual flag or two thrown when they do it. And if you think about a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1 going to a 3rd and 6 or 4th and 6, like that is a huge difference in plays. And I think that, like, if I were a betting man and there's a prop bet for this, I would take the bet that they're going to get flagged on one of the plays this week, because there has been a lot of heat for the tush push and everything this week. And they did own up to saying that those were false starts. So interested to see, like, I would hate if the Rams won the game and it was because there was a flag thrown on the tush push and then they said that we only won because of a flag. But I'm actually interested to see how that all goes down this week.
Definitely. Yep. Yeah. Well, we got lots of cool people watching. Appreciate y'all. Feel free to hit that like button and subscribe to both our channels. We're streaming both on Rams Radar with Payo Time and Rams House channel. We do this each and every Friday. We're having fun doing it. It's episode 2. I'm excited to get into our next segments. Are you ready for Over Rams Actions?
Oh yeah, I'm so ready. I was born ready for Over Rams Action Friday. So if you guys don't know, I'll give you guys a refresher once again. This segment is going to be based on what Rich Eisen does on his show and on his podcast. And basically, I'm going to be pitching you guys a bold take and a hot take potentially. And I'm going to be asking both you and Payo, is this an overreaction, or as we say, over Rams action, or is this fair? Is this a fair point? We're going to be starting off with the topic of the day here, topic of the week after last week. Should Blake Corum get more snaps than Kyren Williams? After we saw last week, Blake Corum had some big runs. It led to a lot of discussion amongst the Rams fan base, thinking that Blake Corum should get more touches than Kyren Williams. I have my thoughts, but I'm going to give it to you, Payo, and to you, the chat. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this is an over Rams action. Do we forget that we just paid Kyren Williams to be a franchise running back? Again, love Blake Corum. Really excited to see what he turns into as a football player. I think he could have a really good career. But I'm of the mindset of it's cool to have 2 good running backs, right? And if Corum is, the hot hand, he's running the rock well. Yeah, let's stick with Corum, right? But I still think Kyron Williams is absolutely the leader of this running back room. He's the leader of the backfield, and I think that Kyron Williams, though he can still, I still think he's a better pass protector than Blake Corum is.
Yeah.
And that's the primary reason of why he is where he is. I think both these running backs have talent. Kyron Williams is in the prime of his career. Blake Corum is entering the prime of his career, in my opinion. So I'm going to say this is an over Rams action.
I definitely agree with you there. I don't disagree with the take that that Corum should get more touches and get involved in the offense more. Maybe he has a drive where this drive is just going to be Blake Corum's. I definitely agree that he should be getting more touches, but I don't think that Kyron Williams should be benched, essentially. That's what a lot of people are saying. I think, like you said, we just paid Kyron Williams. We've seen the last few seasons have been amazing for Kyron Williams. And a lot of people critique the one thing that he can't do well physically of his speed and like saying he needs to be more of an explosive runner. But if you look at everything else that a running back can do, Kyron does that like an A plus. It's just I think people get so hung up on the speed and the breakaway ability, and they think that because of that he shouldn't be the starter. And we did see like to be fair to Blake Corum, we did see when he got put into the game last week, there was like an energy to his carries, and he brought a spark to the offense. But I also think that was partially due to blocking. It feels like Kyron Williams still hasn't had a lot of great blocking to support him and give him the lanes that he needs. And Corum happened to be on a lot of those plays where it was blocked up super well.
Yeah, and First and Tuna, he had a really good video this week kind of talking about that. And yeah, I totally think that was just the nature of it. Corum came in for his series and the blocking really, put it together. Kyron hasn't had a lot of room to work.
Yeah, it's also interesting just to see, like, it feels like a lot of us sports fans can have a short-term memory of like, if you look back at what Kyron's done for this franchise and even just the turnaround of this kind of new era Rams team, he's been one of the big reasons behind why the Rams were able to transition so easily from that like 2021 Super Bowl team to where we are now.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the times it's easy to be reactionary to one game or to two games, or even just looking at bare numbers alone and draw conclusions when really you have to look at the full picture.
Yep. No. And I'm excited because it would not shock me if Kyron Williams is one of the reasons the Rams beat the Eagles on Sunday.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of those runs, he's like a guaranteed to get like 3, 4, or 5 yards every carry. And I would argue he has like the best vision in the NFL as a running back. So that's definitely a good point here. We see that he says that it should be a 1-2 punch.
Yep.
I agree with that. I think the Rams, Sean McVay came out himself and said that they want it to be a 70-30 split. And I think that's honestly fair for right now. But I'll honestly also think if one of them is in a rhythm and in a groove, like you can stick with hot hand as well. But he definitely brought up a good point of Kyron is a very good pass protecting running back.
Yep.
Okay. Number 2.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Eagles will have more sacks than Rams touchdowns. Is this an over Rams action or is it fair?
The Eagles D-line is pretty good. I guess that's assuming this game is going to be low scoring, or at least assuming the Rams are going to be low scoring. Yeah, I'm going to say that's an over Rams action. Yeah. I think that I think Stafford will prioritize getting the ball out quickly this week. Jalen Carter definitely is, good at football.
Yeah.
He's good at what he does. And this Eagles defense is very, like, they're one of the best defenses in the NFL. Just to put it that way. I think though that the Rams can come in, and I really think they're going to put at least 30 on the board again this week.
Wow. See, that's where, from my perspective, I'm going back and forth on this one, because I think that the Rams are going to end up winning this game 21-17. That's my prediction. I think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring than most NFL games. So if you think about it, to have more sacks than touchdowns for the Eagles, they would only need 4 sacks if that score were to come down.
Okay.
I could legitimately see 4 sacks happening just because our interior is going through those injuries. I'm not the biggest fan of Coleman Shelton myself, just like against matchups like Jalen Carter and like guys that are this big. I just don't think that's a great matchup for him. So I could make an argument that there's 1 sack each quarter that the Eagles get, and they have more sacks than us having touchdowns, as well as this being a little bit of a low scoring game. So to me, I would say that this is not an over Rams action, but that's me
Okay.
personally.
No, that's fair. That's fair. We can disagree and still keep our show.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, number 3. The winner of this game will have the number 1 seed at year's end.
Oh, you went there. In week 3, Rams house, really? I don't know. Oh, how do I say it? Because I don't think it's an over Rams action. I said it. I don't think it's crazy to think this is a possible NFC championship game. And the winner of this game, absolutely, because they'll have a tiebreaker that if they have the same record at the end of the year. I think both these teams are ready to win a bunch of games in 2025. And I do think this game, more than any other game we've played this year, is going to have that playoff atmosphere kind of vibe to it. Philly fans know, Ram fans know, this is a big game. It's an NFC powerhouse matchup, week 3. Oh, man.
Yeah, I think that it's not an over Rams action to say that this is the winner of this game will have the number 1 seed. As obviously it doesn't mean it's a guarantee, but I think there's a pretty high likelihood. Like when you look in the NFC alone, the only other teams I could see fighting for that number 1 seed is the Packers. They've looked really good. And maybe the Buccaneers. Is there any teams I'm missing?
I'd maybe toss the Lions in there. They had a bad week 1, but then again, it's the Bears, which the Bears look really bad. But I would put the Lions up there too.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think it's an over Rams action. That could be Rams bias. But number 4 here, the Rams would lose their 3rd consecutive game to the Eagles in 2 seasons if they did not bring in Nate Landman and Puna Ford. So it'd be like a guarantee, almost guarantee. If we still had Roseboom and we didn't have Puna Ford, the Rams would lose this game.
That's a good one. Thinking about it, like I feel like those actions were specifically for the Eagles.
Yeah.
That was why they were a priority in free agency. You know what? I'm gonna say but you just never know. There's so many variables to that. But I guess if we're talking about like as the teams are as they are now, if we were to kind of sub those 2 players out, I don't think that's an over Rams action. No, I don't think that's an overreaction. I think that both Landman and Ford, this was part of the pitch of like, hey, we'd really like you to come play defense for us because we're trying to beat the Eagles. Want to help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that there's no like guarantees and absolutes in the NFL. And then like we see crazy things happen all the time. We were talking like off air about the Rams and Jets game in 2020 of us losing that one. Nobody would have seen that coming. So I don't think anything's an outright guarantee. But I think the Rams winning like chances go down a significant like 30-40% if we don't have these 2 players. So that's where I come from. I'm just going to answer this question real quick. He says, when is the last time the Rams have beaten the Eagles? That was 2020, right?
Yeah. So if I bring up, give me a sec here. Add stage. If we go up here, and so 2025 loss, 2024 loss, 2023 loss. Then Sunday, September 20th, 2020. Oh, 2020. That's fun. The Rams beat the Eagles 37-19.
I remember. I think Higbee had like 3 touchdowns that game.
I think that was his 3-touchdown game. Yeah.
That was so random. And then Darius Williams had an interception. That was like the start of his breakout year. So yeah, to answer your question, 2020 was the last time the Rams beat the Eagles. So at that point, Carson Wentz was their quarterback.
Yep, and Goff. Yeah, because it was a Goff versus Wentz matchup. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
what a throwback.
Yeah, the Rams had over 449 yards. Yeah, that's cool. Huh. Oh,
a little tip.
Sam Sloman was the kicker.
Oh my. That doesn't bring back the greatest memories.
Oh,
I think I prefer Josh Carty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Says Madden has Eagles winning 38-6. Let's hope that Madden is right. It rarely is, but let's hope it's right.
Yeah.
All right. Over Rams action number 5. Someone not named Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams will lead the Rams in receiving yards.
Ooh. So the candidates would be, you'd think, Tutu just catching a bunch of deep passes. As much as I like Xavier Smith and Jordan Whittington, I don't see them getting enough volume to get that. I'm going to say that's an over Rams action. I just think that those two command so much of the game plan. It would be a total shock if someone like and again, shout out Davis Allen, back-to-back weeks getting touchdown. I don't see him getting like the yardage. Like he might get some red zone targets or something. Yeah, I think that's an over Rams action there.
I agree with that, but for a counter argument's sake, if you think about it, all it takes is like two Outwell bombs, like deep throws down the field. This is a hard thing to do, but imagine you have a 60-yard pass to Atwell and a 50-yard pass to Atwell, or something. Like, what if it's just an Atwell game? You never know. But I'd agree with you. This is probably an over Rams action, but I would not be surprised if we saw Tutu Atwell catch a deep one this game.
And I would love that, because I'm sick and tired of Ram fans being like, he only has one catch for 4 yards, and we paid him $10 million for a $10 million catch. It's like, okay, let's just ease up on Tutu here, okay?
Yeah, and we saw, we talked about it last week. I think Tutu Atwell is a very matchup-dependent kind of player. Yeah. Nothing bad to say about him, but I think there's certain matchups that the Rams like what they have in him against teams, and other matchups where they'd rather roll out with Whittington. And I think the last couple of weeks against the kind of physical defenses we've played, Whittington has been the better option there. But I think it's a good problem to have to have a bunch of wide receiver options where fans are complaining about not using somebody. At least it's not like we're the Eagles who have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but they keep talking about how A.J. Brown's not getting the ball. Like, that's not the kind of problem that we're having. So
very true. Yeah.
We say over Rams action for this one. Ooh. In the final one for this segment, number 6, Byron Young will be the best Rams pass rusher by year's end. Just numbers-wise, pure numbers-wise, Byron Young will be the best pass rusher by year's end.
Byron Young. So, like, numbers, like he'll have the most sacks or tackles for losses?
Yeah, I would say sacks, pressures, all
okay.
the kind of like flashy stats. Because right now I believe he has 3 sacks and a strip sack. So,
you know what? Because he's going to get like the one-on-ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's an over Rams action, which is, I've never thought about it till this exact moment. But like, because like Turner and Fiss are on the inside, it's tougher there. It's different. Verse is going to face double and triple teams all season long. Yeah, I don't think, in terms of statistics, I don't think that's an overreaction.
Yeah, because I kind of look at Jared Verse for this year, at least right now, as kind of like a table setter guy for the rest of them, because he is getting double and triple teams right now, like Aaron Donald used to, which only opens up opportunities for Byron Young and for the other pass rushers. So far, Byron Young has looked the best he's looked with the Rams ever. And this is a guy who for me coming into this season, I saw as a potential of maybe Josiah Stewart taking a little bit more of his reps, just because he usually starts the season strong and tails off. And a lot of people talk about how he's like a one-trick pony kind of like pass rusher, but this year he's shown so much improvement. And I think part of it is the Pilates that he did in the offseason for flexibility. But I also think it's like he was new to football. Like he was working at the Dollar General until like he was a walk-on for college pretty late. So this is still like every year you can see him taking legitimate jumps because of how late he started actually playing football.
Yeah, no, I love BY's story,
Yeah.
in that regards to it. And yeah, I it's cool. It's cool to see, because I still remember it was only a couple weeks ago. People were like, trade Byron Young and 2 first-round picks for Micah Parsons.
Yeah. It's crazy what just a couple weeks will do for perspective.
Yeah.
Do you wanna answer this question before we get into your segment?
Yeah, let's just thank you everyone for playing along with overrated.
Yeah.
But let's go to the chat now here. So we got Grandizer, hello, my friend, saying, which Rams player thus far has disappointed you both the most? And besides Landman, which other Rams player has impressed you the second most? Oh,
It's a great question.
Yeah. Do you have someone in mind?
Yeah, disappointed me the most. That's a good question.
Wow, you puzzled 2 Rams YouTubers, Grandizer.
Yeah, he's a Dolphins fan, and he knew the right question to ask you.
Yeah, it's because we're both pretty happy with the team.
I have one actually right now.
Yeah,
I would say it's early, but through the first 2 weeks, I would say Braden Fisk hasn't done as much as I thought he would.
Yeah,
and that's more so eye test. That's not looking at any numbers or anything. But I can't even think of a time this season so far, and he was dealing with an injury last week. I can't think of a time where I've seen Braden Fisk get free and have a pressure or get to the quarterback. It feels like he's almost a player that I forget is in the game. So maybe he's doing more in the running game, but I would say Braden Fisk probably thus far has disappointed me the most.
Yeah, no, that's a fair take. I guess I would maybe go to the other side of the ball. We talked about Tutu just not too long ago. And I think with Tutu, it is 100%. He's just not getting many opportunities, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know how many. I think he maybe has 2 targets on the year, and he caught one of them for 4 yards. So I would probably put that. And again, I don't put that on Tutu. I put that on just game script. And then there's been a lot of impressive ones, but this is so mainstream, but I'm going to say Puka Nacua for who's impressed me the most. Like, we knew he was good. We knew it. And he's looked like the best wide receiver in football right now. Right?
Yeah.
Like he's playing at that next level.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick for the most impressive one. I think for me, impressed me the most, Puka is definitely a good pick. I think I would have to put it between Stafford and Emmanuel Forbes.
Yeah.
Stafford, we all know what kind of quarterback he is, but he's played even better than I expect. Like, I guess he's already in his rhythm so fast for barely even having any training camp time. And we all knew that he's a veteran quarterback. He's seen defenses. It's not going to be like a struggle for him to come back. But I definitely thought it would take a little bit longer than what it is. And I even saw a stat this week that talked about the Rams offensive line is giving up like some of the most pressures the quickest out of anybody in the league, but yet Stafford has some of the most explosive throws in the league. So being that he has pressure so quickly on a down-to-down basis, but he has some of the most explosive plays at the quarterback position, and he barely played in camp, that's an easy one. But Emmanuel Forbes as well, just because of his story and he was a first-round pick for the Commanders, kind of got thrown to the side early on. Everybody's like making fun of him for like his build and how he can play and all that. But the stories of him coming out of camp are definitely legit. And we've seen that. He had that really good breakup against the Titans last week. But we've also just seen on a down-to-down basis, it seems like he's right where he belongs and he has his confidence back. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad Brode here kind of brought this up. I guess there's a narrative that like AJ Brown is one of the reasons why Emmanuel Forbes got cut from the Commanders because he played really bad against him. So that's an underrated storyline headed into this Rams Eagles matchup is Emmanuel Forbes' opportunity for a little bit of redemption for a team that he didn't do so good against, right?
yeah, I'm excited to see that, especially because like you have that accompanied with AJ Brown, who's just not getting the ball as much as he would like, and that's kind of becoming a storyline. Even if he's not pushing the agenda himself, it's like a star receiver wants to get the ball and he's barely gotten the ball.
Yeah.
And if this is going to be the third week of him not getting the ball, like he's going to want the ball, and the Eagles are going to try to draw up plays for him. And then considering the past of Forbes not doing great against him, I think it's a good test for both of them for sure.
Yeah. We'll take a couple more questions here from the chat, and then we'll get to our next segment. I see Anthony asks, can the Rams stop the run now because Barkley ran all over them in the playoff game? Eagles fan. Well, Anthony, thanks for tuning on in. We were talking about this earlier, but yeah, what are your thoughts on the Rams stopping Saquon Barkley? Rams says.
So like a part of me, and the optimist part of me, and seeing the additions that the Rams made in the offseason wants to say, like, I'm super confident the Rams are going to be able to stop the run. A part of me wants to say that the Rams are going to keep them over or under 100 yards, and that we're going to do like the best we ever have done against Barkley. But also looking at it realistically, it's like he is also Saquon Barkley. So it's like I feel like there's going to be a balance in between. The Rams are going to do a really good job, and every now and then he'll have his big run. But I don't think it's going to be big runs as far as like 60, 70, 80-yard runs like he had last year. I think his big run for the day is going to be more like he ran for 30 or he ran for 40. But for most of the game, the Rams are going to do a good enough job. And I really want to say they're going to keep him over or under 100 yards. I think that's going to happen. But I also like respectfully want to be like, we haven't done that yet. So looking at it realistically, maybe he's going to be somewhere around that 100, 110 yards rushing. So I don't know. I'm going back and forth on it.
I think it's going to be a really good test for the Rams' improved linebacking core. With Omar Spate's development and then Nate Landman, I also, and just in general, the defensive front seven, I think this is a huge game for them. For that reason, I think that they can definitely limit Barkley. And like even Jared Verse was talking about it in his press conference yesterday, like the importance of just like, understanding the assignment and doing it and staying disciplined on defense. I'll be curious to see if they can pull it off. And obviously, like Barkley is the reason why the Rams didn't win either game against the Eagles last year, right? He ran all over them. So yeah, I'm hoping, but Anthony, appreciate the question. Oh, you're muted. I think you muted.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very excited to see the way that plays out this week. It's a big storyline, but I think, like you mentioned, a lot of people are focusing in on the running game and seeing that like that's going to be the biggest key. But a huge key definitely will be like, can we contain Jalen Hurts? Yeah. Can we make them throw the ball and make sure he's not getting outside the pocket? That's definitely going to be very interesting.
Yeah. Are you cool if we go to our next segment?
Yeah.
Okay. Those of you in the chat, I have starred a number of your questions that if we have time afterwards, we will definitely get to. But we are going to talk about what's more likely, but it's just the Rams. So I'll explain here. In this segment, we have a couple. I'll give a scenario, and in a form of like, what's more likely? This happens or this happens. And then Rams House will give what he thinks is more likely to happen. And then you in the chat, you guys also say, out of the two scenarios, what is more likely to happen here? So that is what we're going to do here. And I had a lot of fun coming up with these. We're going to have some fun talking about a Rams House. Are you ready for what's more likely, but it's just the Rams?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Give them to me.
Okay. If the Rams win on Sunday, what's more likely? The mainstream media talks about the Rams winning or the Eagles losing more.
I think it's honestly going to be the Rams, or I mean the Eagles losing more.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from. Just because they are the reigning Super Bowl champions, and they've already had a lot of media covering them with the Tush Push, but also with the fact that their passing game hasn't gotten going and some of the drama. I think the fact that they're the Super Bowl champions and they are kind of in the spotlight, I believe it'll be more so they're going to be talking about, oh, the Eagles lost this game. How did they lose this game? Then the Rams won this game. They're a legit contender.
Yep. Yeah. No. There's definitely, I think the Eagles have such a huge target on them because it's not just the Super Bowl. They haven't lost a game in a long time, right?
Yeah.
It's been a while. Like they're a good team that, a lot of people are waiting for them to lose. And so I feel like the Rams could, play the greatest football game ever. And the mainstream media will still talk about the Eagles losing more than the Rams being a really good team.
And we saw this before too. Not even just exclusive to the Eagles game. It felt like, especially kind of in like the early Sean McVay Rams years, or even like the end of the Goff era years, that a lot of the times they were talking more so about like how did such and such a team lose against the Rams? Like what did they do wrong? It's like sometimes good football teams just beat other teams,
Yeah, right. Okay, fair enough. All right, what's more likely? Puka Nacua makes a diving, insane catch in the first half of this game, or the Rams D-line sacks Hurts. Oh, should have capitalized there. Sorry. Hurts twice in the first half.
I honestly think it's going to be the second one. Yeah. Rams D-line sacks Hurts twice in the first half. If you guys go back to that playoff game last year, the Rams actually had 7 sacks on Jalen Hurts. And I think a lot of people forget about that because of like the Rams didn't win the game. But they did get to him 7 times. And Puka Nacua, obviously, we've seen him have those insane diving catches before. He makes them look routine. I'm going to argue that he's not going to need to dive for any of them because Stafford's going to put it right on the money.
Oh, okay. I like it. Oh, I like it. I like it. I think for me, I'm going to go Puka Nacua because I just feel like at least once a game, he has one catch where like, was that the greatest catch I ever saw? And you like just like think about it like periodically. And so I think that could happen early in the game there. But I would love it if both those things happen.
Yeah.
All right. What's more likely? Chris Shula is the Dolphins head coach next season. Shout out Grant Iser, our Dolphins fan in the chat. Or Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur is a head coach for any other NFL team.
That's a very good one. That's a juicy one. I'm going to say Chris Shula, Dolphins head coach. Just looking at where the Dolphins are trending and look at the steam that Chris Shula is picking up. If he puts together another year like he looks like he's going to with this defense, have back-to-back seasons like that, I think a lot of NFL teams and organizations can look at what Mike LaFleur did in the past, like with the Jets, and it takes longer for them to get over like how bad that went. That's like in their back of their minds. Whereas like Chris Shula, he's like a new young guy who came from Sean McVay's staff, who put together great defenses with a bunch of unproven guys. I think that would sound more enticing. And I think honestly, the Dolphins, just even for PR, that would be a great move to bring in Chris Shula. And so for me, I would say Chris Shula becoming a head coach of the Dolphins rather than Mike LaFleur, any other team head coach.
Yeah, I see a lot of Dolphins fans that are like, give us Chris Shula. He's right. And I fully believe both Chris Shula and Mike LaFleur will be head coaches at some point in the NFL. I think both could generally be good head coaches in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
The Dolphins connection with Shula, obviously because of Don Shula, you can't ignore that. But I don't know, like in today's world where there's a lot of young quarterbacks that are kind of in bad coaching situations, I could see people getting excited about Mike LaFleur as an offensive-minded head coach. I think that Jets tenure that he was there, he was kind of the fall guy for a lot of other issues. And as time has gone on, it's clear he was not the problem with the Jets. So I I think that Chris Shula is a good chance to be the Dolphins head coach, but I don't pardon me. I don't know if that's the direction they want to go with like the defensive coordinator turn head coach narrative. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to track, but I think Rams assistant coaches and offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators being in the head coaching conversations is very regular for the Rams. So I could see both these options playing out, but if I had to pick one, I'm going with Chris Shula.
Okay, fair enough. Let's see. My next one here. Okay. Pardon me, I have a tickle in my throat. What's more likely? The Rams stop the tush push on Sunday, or Jalen Hurts throws a pick six?
Ooh, this is a really good one. This is a good job on that. Because I could really see a pick six happening. But the Rams have stopped the tush push before. It's been a long time since the Rams have had a pick six in general, especially against the Eagles. So I'm going to say they stopped the tush push.
Okay.
What do you say?
I'd agree with that. Yeah, just I feel like there's such a because there's a thing that like Adam Schefter tweeted out about like how there's going to be an emphasis on calling the tush push tighter and things like that, and whether it's the Rams that stop it or the refs that stop it. Obviously, I'm hoping it's the Rams. I think that could be something that happens. Jalen Hurts. I still say one of the strengths of his game is his decision making. I don't think he's like if he throws a pick, I don't see it being a pick six. So that's kind of where I'm at with Jalen Hurts. Obviously would love to see that, but I would tend to agree that the tush push being stopped is more likely.
Especially because, like I said, the Rams have stopped it before. Yeah. It's not like they do it routinely, but to have even one time them doing it, I think it would be more likely than Hurts throwing a pick six.
Yeah. There's some people in the chat here. They're saying pick six. Okay. That's fair enough. That's cool. Yeah.
That's a good one, though.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. I got a few more here. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
What's more likely? Jared Verse has words, should be plural, with Eagles fans in the stands, or Jalen Carter spits on a Rams player.
Definitely number one for me. Jared Verse has a word with Eagles because Jared Verse talks to everybody. Even it could even just be a guy in the drive-thru at McDonald's, and he would talk about how slow he's ordering. Like Jared Verse just trash talks. I don't see Jalen Carter spitting on somebody again, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think once was enough for him.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I just put that one in there because I wanted to be funny.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay, let's get serious here. What's more likely? Nate Landman gets 10 tackles in this game, or Devontae Adams gets 10 catches.
That's a good one. Ooh, 10 catches.
I want to hear you in the chat too. Put Landman or Adams.
I need some help on this one. Yeah, I think I want to do what Rich Eisen does sometimes where he says I could see both happening, but I can't do that. I got to pick one.
Yep.
I'm going to say because the Eagles are such a run-heavy offense and that's such a key to stopping them, both with Jalen Hurts running it and Saquon running it, I'm going to say Nate Landman gets 10 tackles.
Okay. Looks like we got some agreement here with that. I'm actually going to say Adams getting 10 catches. I think is more likely. Not that I don't think Nate Landman can't get it. I just think that the way that the Eagles defense is going to play the Rams offense, they're going to need a lot of, get the ball out quickly, get it to your playmakers. And like, I could see both Adams and Puka getting over 10 catches in this game.
Yeah. They've been so dynamic too. It's obviously going to come down to protection and stuff, but we'll see. I don't know what, I think this guy's an Eagles fan, but I think he's saying Vic Fangio is going to help Jackson. I don't know what Jackson is he talking about Adoree Jackson maybe?
I think corner? So. Yeah. That would make sense.
Yeah. That was a good one though. I think that one is the one that gave me the most pause because I could definitely see both those things happening. I could see Adams having a game like that. He had a big game last week. But I don't know. I just see with the Rams stressing as much as they are, trying to stop Saquon and trying to stop the running game, I think it's going to be important that your best linebacker is going to be making those tackles. So,
yep. Yeah, that's fair. All right, I got one more. You want one more?
oh, yeah. Let's get one more.
Okay. What's more likely? Matthew Stafford throws a deep pass. It should be deep pass. Throws a touchdown pass. That should be a T there. My apologies for my poor spelling. So Matthew Stafford throws a touchdown pass first. I meant to say this is first. Or a Rams wide receiver scores a rushing touchdown for the second week in a row. Note, Puka Nacua had a rushing touchdown, 45 yards last week against the Titans. What's more likely to happen first, I should say? Matthew Stafford throws a touchdown pass or a Rams wide receiver scores a rushing touchdown for the second round of the week?
I think that it's more likely that Matthew Stafford throws a touchdown pass just because the Rams, I don't feel like they do enough of those jet sweeps and end arounds as they used to.
Yeah.
Like 2017, 2018, 2019 Rams did, and even 2020. That doesn't feel like it's as much of a part of their game, which is kind of why I was surprised that they had that play with Puka last week and it scored, because I don't remember the last time the Rams got like a jet sweep touchdown score in a rushing touchdown through a wide receiver. So I would say Stafford throwing a pass for a touchdown first.
Yeah, especially like a 45-yard one. And that's one of the reasons it worked is because we hadn't seen that in a long time.
Yeah. I feel like we see guys in motion all the time, like they're going to do that, but they rarely actually give the ball to them.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that was fun. Thanks for playing along, everyone, to What's More Likely, but it's just about the Rams. Oh, man. Well, we are coming to the end of our show, and Rams says this has been fun. Yeah. Episode 2. What are your final thoughts? We'll go to bed tonight, then we got tomorrow, Saturday, then we wake up Sunday, it's game day. What are your final thoughts going into this game? What do you think the vibe of this game is going to be?
Yeah, I think the vibe of this game, it's going to be low scoring. Like I said, I think 21-17. I think both teams are going to be trying to possess the ball for a while and kind of chew up clock. But obviously, especially the Eagles want to do that. I see 21-17. I see a back and forth game. And I see if the Rams end up winning this game, it's going to be because they're making the Eagles play a kind of game that they don't want to play. Yeah. And it's because they're going to be forcing them to pass the football. Hopefully we can actually do that. And then on the offensive side, I definitely see a good dose of Kyron and Blake Corum. But I really do think that we're going to see a Tutu Atwell deep throw this game or a Devontae Adams deep throw. I think we're going to see one of those, whether it's play action, drop back, whatever. I think there's going to be a good mix of run and pass. It's going to be a Sean McVay looking offense. And I think the Rams come away with a win 21-17.
Ooh, okay. I like it. I'm of the mindset is I really think this is going to be the game of the day. I think it's going to be it's going to be early. The rest of the NFL is going to talk about this game because it's going to be such a good game. I think there's going to be scoring on both sides. I think there's going to be defensive plays, offensive plays. I think that it's going to be just a good quality football game, and I can't wait. I think it's two juggernaut teams going head-to-head, and I think it's going to be a physical game, and I am of the mindset I actually think this is going to be a higher scoring game. You know what? I've been fluctuating my prediction a little bit, but I'm going to say I think the Rams win this game 35-30.
Ooh, that's a good game. Yeah. Higher scoring than what I think. But we both see it. We both respect the Eagles. We both see it being a close game. Yeah. We both don't think it's going to be easy. And we're just hoping those offseason additions we made and not playing in a blizzard will help us out here.
Yeah, that's a huge win. Yeah. I did see a couple of comments here. We'll get to a couple of Grandizers questions quick. Mm-hmm. But I do want to shout out here Josiah. I haven't seen you in a hot minute. So I used to be a youth pastor many years ago. And wow. It's good to see you, Josiah. I remember you being an Eagles fan.
What are the odds? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. And he's on your channel too.
That's even funnier.
That is funny. Grant Answer's question is: while it's still early in Puka's career, are you keeping an eye on if he overtakes any Rams wide receiver favorites in the past? Wonder where Puka would move up the wide receiver chart at the end of this season. He's definitely like he's on the path. Like there's Isaac Bruce, Torrey Hole. You put like Cooper Kupp in there, right? Like he's on a path. He's not there yet, but like there's a pathway for him to get in that upper echelon of Rams wide receivers.
I think too that the biggest thing for him would be about like as long as he stays healthy, I think he has a legitimate shot of like climbing the ranks as a top receiver in Rams history, which is crazy because when you actually look at the receivers we've had in our history, like it's a rich receiver history as well as it is a rich running back history. But I think the biggest thing for him is going to be health. It's going to be actually being able to play those games just because he plays such a physical style of football that I legitimately I see him having a good chance as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then Great Answer's also asking one Rams content creator he heard this week said that Puka could overtake, I think he means Tavon Austin, this year in receptions and yards. Your thoughts? Cool. I think like the reality is Tavon Austin had so much potential that was not utilized by a poor offensive coordinator, poor head coaching. It's just unfortunate that in the prime of his career it was wasted on a middle school offense.
Yeah. It's interesting too, even because didn't McVay have Tavon Austin for 1 year?
Yeah, he did.
I still thought he'd be used more with McVay, but it's definitely an interesting point of conversation of like the fast, like twitchy, quick wide receivers aren't usually the ones that do great in a McVay offense. I think the best one you could argue for that would be Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
But he was more like he was well rounded. But it feels like these like fast gadget kind of receiver don't like do super well in a McVay offense. It's more of like the blocking, like Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, like that kind of style, Robert Woods.
Yeah, the real physical kind of mauler wide receiver that has good hands. Yeah.
Yeah, more quick than they are like fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Rams House, do you got any content coming out?
I do. So the next content I'll be coming out with will be the post game. I'll be live after the Eagles game, just giving my thoughts and reactions to how the game went, whether we win or whether we lose. Hopefully we win. I'll be giving that, and then you can expect to see a game preview next week, and maybe some other content if we have time.
Nice. That's cool. I'll be doing my watch party, Rams Eagles. Would love to see you all there on my channel, Rams Radar. And then afterwards, I'll continue my before the game and after the game short series, which I'm having a lot of fun with, and people seem to be enjoying. But it's a good time to be a Rams fan, and I'm excited for this game.
Yeah, I couldn't be more excited. This definitely. Thank you all for who were in the chat and commenting and doing it. You guys are the ones that make this show even more fun. If you guys weren't here interacting in the comments, this show would only give like half its value. So I appreciate you guys for being in here, hanging out with us, giving us questions. It really does mean a lot to us.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, thank you so much again. We will see you next Friday night for maybe we might have a show name by then.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe.
Keep telling us your suggestions. Oh, have a good day, everyone.
See you guys.